People, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to the first opposition preview of the new season. I can't believe it's already here. Sunday, Chelsea versus Liverpool, Stamford Bridge, and it's always a big game anyway, but with what's been going on with the Moises Caicedo saga over the last 12 hours or so, not even 24 hours, it's gone up a level. There's a lot more at stake now. It's added a little bit of spice. And to dive into everything, look over the pre-seasons, look forward to the season ahead, the game as well. Romz, what are you saying, my guy? What a madness it's been. I mean, before we get into the Chelsea perspective from Caicedo, I'm pretty certain you weren't expecting last night for Liverpool to do a British record 110, 111 million pound bid for Moises Caicedo. That probably wasn't on your thoughts for yesterday.
Not at all. First of all, thank you for having me, Charlie. Dave, you're on Chelsea Fan TV. Thank you for having me a lot. But any Liverpool fan that says they were expecting last night's bid to happen, they're lying. With our owners, this is alien to us. This is completely alien to us. When I saw, it's not even just that we bidded 100 excess of 100 million. It's the fact we smashed the British transfer record. If there's one club that's you wouldn't think they're even capable of doing that, it is Liverpool. Not to say we don't have money, but we know our owners, they just don't like to spend it because how we've recouped 53 million, roughly 53 million through Fabinho and Henderson, right? 40 million for Fabinho and I think 12 to 13 for Henderson. And then we already had the 45 million for Lavia, irrespective of those two sums that we recouped. So when you add both sums up, it's roughly between 94 to 98 million that we recouped. So the money was there. And we were willing to match your valuation for Levi Colwill. If he didn't decide to sign a contract, we were willing to meet the 80 million valuation. So money is there, but our owners just don't really like to spend it. But with our massive exodus, with 6 players coming out and only bringing 2 quality signings, Szoboszlai and McAllister, this is our massive rebuild. This summer is key. And Klopp's even said, I think in 2018, quotes have come up today, the day I have to spend 100 million, I'll never do it. But he's even come and said, look, I'm wrong. Not that I agree with it, but it's the way football's moving. It's the way the modern market. But I was shocked. I was honestly shocked. I was getting phone calls left, right, and centre. I didn't believe it at first. I had to see it to believe it. And there was a lot of reporters early hours of the morning reporting this, but we know the two most credible, 3 would say Matt Law, Fabrizio, and David Ornstein. When I saw them 3 tweet, I said, this is real. This is actually real. So, yeah, it took me by surprise.
Do you know what's mad, right? Is that Liverpool seemingly have been pissing about over 5 million for Lavia, right? And also, like, they pulled out of the Bellingham deal, not necessarily this summer, but a while ago because they realised it was going to be too expensive. But surely that 110 that's gone on this Caicedo bid, surely that was just the Bellingham. Do you reckon that was the Bellingham money? And if that money was there, why didn't you try and drop 110 on Bellingham? Do you think things have changed, or what do you reckon's gone on there?
I now feel, because I do believe that money was always there, irrespective of the sales he made this summer. I just think I know a lot of Liverpool fans won't want to hear this, but I just think he simply rejected us. Yeah. I simply think, I know there was rumours that we had agreed personal terms even the year before, the summer prior to that, but I just feel he must have obviously got some inkling from Real Madrid that, look, we're going to come in for you. Liverpool, Real Madrid, both big clubs, but you're going to go over Real Madrid. The pinnacle is Barcelona and Madrid pretty much. So I just think it came down to the harsh truth that he did reject us because the money has been there. And we've also bid for Tchouaméni in the region of about 80 million as well, but he didn't want to come to us. So we have had money there. But in terms of the Bellingham saga, I just feel he just did not want to come to us.
No, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, mate, me and you both, we've had players reject us for Barcelona and Real Madrid. We had it with Rafinha last summer. We had it with Jules Koundé as well. Ultimately, the reality is Chelsea and Liverpool, 2 massive football clubs. But as a player, when you've got a choice of Barcelona and Real Madrid, unfortunately, you're 9 times out of 10, your team's going to get rejected for him, and that's kind of just the way it goes. But I mean, the Caicedo thing from a Chelsea perspective, for me, is just an utter madness. Like, this is a player that we've been chasing all summer. We've been locked in negotiations for 3 months or whatever it is now. We knew back in January we wanted him because we bid in January for him. Obviously, Arsenal bid more than us in January, but he stayed. He signed a new deal. I think he made a mistake signing a new deal with no release clause or no opt-out clause in there. That certainly doesn't help proceedings. But from a Chelsea perspective, it's been a one-club race all summer long, and yet we must have found out the first thing you find out in negotiations, how much do you want? We know Brighton are stubborn negotiators. £100 million was always the asking price, right? That was never going to move. So I don't know why we felt that we could get a deal on our terms and not pay more than £80 million. That is it's just idiocy from us on our behalf there. And then eventually, having said we're going to do it on our terms, we then cave in and bid exactly on Brighton's terms anyway, and then we still bid less than you. So like the whole thing is an embarrassing situation all round. I mean, it's embarrassing for us that we've led the race the whole summer and then you boys have come in and bid more than us. But then it's also probably a little bit embarrassing for you guys as well, because you probably slightly abandoned the Lavia situation. You've put a club record bid in, it's been accepted, and then the players rejected you as well. So there's no real winners out of this. I suppose from a Chelsea perspective, like I'd rather be embarrassed in the market in this situation and come away with what you were looking for, because over time, no one's going to really care about being embarrassed in the market if he does as well as everyone thinks he's going to do. But I mean, it's not done yet. I don't want to get overexcited yet. It's not fully done yet to Chelsea. But I mean, bro, do you feel like a sense of embarrassment on Liverpool's behalf that this bid's gone in? Klopp in the presser this morning talking about the bid and whatnot, and then obviously subsequently been rejected by Caicedo. How embarrassing do you feel this is for Liverpool?
For me, it's very embarrassing because Klopp, obviously, there was reports earlier of the morning that he will speak to Caicedo before his press conference this morning, which was, I believe, 15 a.m. So either Caicedo lied to him or Klopp, he just wasn't honest with Klopp, because if you spoke to a player, he's obviously giving you assurances, look, I'm willing to come to the club. He's then announced, this is very rare for a manager to do, especially our club. We normally do things quite behind the scenes, quite discreetly. But for Klopp to say, look, a deal has been agreed. He did say, now it is down to the player. Yeah. But we assume that he had already spoke to the player. But for Caicedo to now come out, all of the reports saying it's still Chelsea, it is a bit embarrassing on our end, because it's kind of like, why did we bid this knowing that we weren't his priority? That's the only embarrassing thing for me. And this could have a bad domino effect, because if I'm Romeo Lavia, it's like, 1 minute, I thought I was your number one priority. Now I was your second all along, and now you've kind of gone to the shiny new toy and kicked me to the side. And what it also does is it puts the world on notice. If we now have to, because if we don't get Lavia or Caicedo in that sense, we now have to go to other clubs and search for a DM. They're going to know we have 110 million.
That's what I was going to say, bro. If you go back for Lavia, Southampton are going to be thinking, well, hang on a second, our 50 million valuation, you've just proven you've got 110 to drop. Well, maybe we'll go 60 or 70 million. And then you leave yourself in a problem. I mean, I don't know if Chelsea are going to go for, because obviously our Tyler Adams deal has collapsed now, and I'm thinking maybe that 20 million that was going to be used to buy Tyler Adams is now going to be chucked into the Caicedo fund, and maybe we go 115 or something mad like that. But then it begs the question: Chelsea need 2 midfield players, so are we then going to suddenly end up with Caicedo and Lavia? I'm not really too sure what the situation is going to be there. But Lavia, as you were saying rightly, mate, he can't be impressed by Liverpool and how they've kind of treated him, I suppose, like made out to be that he was like, you know, the guy that they wanted, and they just dropped him, tried to get for this bid, and then you're going to go back and, you know, try and go running back to him. But I mean, we both need midfielders. I mean, we probably both need 2 each, if we're being brutally honest. For me, I always maintained it was going to be for Chelsea 2 from 3 out of Caicedo, Lavia, and Adams. Adams is off now. Maybe it could go back on, who knows? But it looks like it's going to be Caicedo and maybe Lavia as well, potentially. But from a Liverpool perspective, bro, how bad and how worried are you potentially if you do miss out on both Caicedo and Lavia? Because then that leaves you in a really tricky position.
The thing is, I'm quite worried already, because there's no one in this moment in time. We've obviously bidded for Caicedo, which in my opinion, we're not linked with anyone else that's as good as him. So automatically, whoever else we go in for is a downgrade. I do rate Lavia. I've watched Lavia in the City youth team, and I know it's a different level, but you know, sometimes you can just tell that's a baller, like he's got something special about him. I saw Lavia before he even went to Southampton, so I would still be happy with Lavia, because I'm not just going to act like because we bidded for Caicedo. I do believe Caicedo is the better out of the 2, but I still do want Lavia. But let's say we don't get either. I'm just going to throw some names we've been linked with. Florentino Luis from Benfica. Apparently we put in an inquiry a couple of days ago for Yusuf Fofana from Monaco.
He had a decent player.
Yeah, and he had a decent preseason game against Arsenal the other day at the Emirates. We've also been linked with Andre from Fluminense from Brazil.
What about the Kefram Turam links as well? They've gone pretty quiet.
Apparently, we didn't want to meet the valuation. We didn't believe what Nice were quoting. We didn't believe he was worth that, so that kind of got swept on the carpet. Manu Kone as well. Obviously, he got injured, unfortunately, so that kind of died down as well. But you never know. Maybe we could even put in a shock move for Tyler Adams. He's a prop player. He's quite industrious. He would suit well in our system. He would cover Trent, and Trent goes forward. But if we don't get Lavia or Caicedo, I think it's the names I suggested. What I would now personally do is I've been fond of this player since he arrived at Fulham. I would even chuck a cheeky 80 at Fulham for Paulina. That's what I'll do as well, because I think he would be quality. But the irony is, both our clubs meet the first day of the season, and you would say we're both pretty much unprepared in the same department. Because I'll say defensively, I've got my qualms about our defense, but our back four at the moment, it is fit. We've got 3 out of our 4 centre backs are quite injury prone. I rate your defense. You've obviously got Colwell, who we were highly sought after, Thiago Silva, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Marlo Gusto from Lyon. I had my eye on him last season, quality player. Even us, defensively right now, we're fine. Both teams going forward, I'll say this is where we're probably a bit stronger.
You're strong. Your options are better than ours for sure.
Yeah, and we're firing on all cylinders. When it comes to the defense, Charlie, I am not worried in the slightest. We're going to be up there in the metrics with the Cities, with the Arsenal in terms of goals scored. But it's the transition, it's the other way. But right now, Chelsea and Liverpool actually have the same problems as to why we're looking at the exact same players. And what a curtain opener it is for the Prem. Anthony Taylor, I know he doesn't have the best history with Chelsea.
Mate, you couldn't make it up. You literally couldn't make it up. You couldn't write anything better. As you were saying, it's a massive game anyway. You chuck Anthony Taylor in the mix, you chuck the Caicedo thing in the mix as well, and suddenly it's got that extra spice that the game didn't really need, but it's got it now. But mate, it's exactly the same, isn't it, bro? Like in terms of the midfield, we're both looking like one of my big issues is that I understand, look, Chelsea are going down a multi-club model. We're bringing in youngsters to develop them to be good enough for the first team, potentially at a cheap price, or we're going to flip them for profit. That's okay. But when we knew from day one, we even knew back in January, the number one priority was a partner for Enzo Fernandez. And we go and spend millions on youngsters, and we neglect the one position that we need to go and get. Instead of spending all the time doing that, get this deal done as a priority. And you know, we've and it just looks like our priorities haven't been in the right place, and we've made a complete mess of this deal. We may still get it, but we have kind of embarrassed ourselves a little bit as well. But the midfield is kind of mad though, because I think your options going forward are really, really good. Like I'll be honest, mate, I don't think there's many. I think up with City, your attacking options, Salah, Jota, Luis Diaz, Szoboszlai, like all these guys, mate, that's as good as there is in the league. Those options you've got defensively, you play a high line and you can be caught on the break potentially, you know, with pacing behind, which maybe we may look to exploit and stuff. But I mean, who do you feel is going to start then for you in the midfield then? Because obviously for us as well, we're going to have Caicedo is not going to be playing because of the deadline was 12 o'clock registration. So what we've got available to both our sides now, we're going to have to make do with in midfield. Who do you see playing in midfield for you? Because obviously Curtis Jones, maybe?
Right. I think our midfield 3 will be McAllister in the 6, kind of alongside Curtis Jones with Szoboszlai in front of him. Thiago hasn't featured in any of our preseason games. He's only been training the past week, so he'll probably be on the bench, but he's not match fit. Bajcetic again, he's not really featured in our preseason games, but the pair of them have been training this past week. Even if we had signed a Lavia or Caicedo wouldn't have been eligible, like you said, because the deadline's passed to register. I think your team, and even Lavia, I'm not sure the exact reason, but even if we had signed him a week or 2 ago, apparently he was never going to play in this game. I'm not exactly sure why, but apparently he wasn't going to play. So my middle 3 would probably be McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Curtis Jones, because Curtis Jones come off the back of a stellar campaign with England under 21s. I think he got player of the tournament, or might have been Gordon. I'm not too sure.
I think it was Gordon, but he did well.
He did very well. Him and Angel Gomez in that kind of double pivot. He's kind of brought that form into pre-season, but very comfortable against Leicester in Singapore. Played quite decent against Bayern Munich as well. So I think he deserves, on merit, he deserves to start in our midfield 3. But that will probably be my midfield 3. Yet off the bench, I'm trying to think of our other options. Yeah, I've covered Bajcetic, I've covered Thiago.
That's kind of
Yeah,
it, isn't it? That's
even depth wise, we don't really even have much depth in that area. Oh, Harvey Elliott as well. I think he'll probably be an impact sub, but I don't think he'll start in this particular game. But yeah, this is why we're crying out for
yeah.
six. And will obviously naturally go into that role. On the offense, he'll naturally go into that inverted role. But I'm starting off, I think he starts it right back.
I mean, to be fair, it's still not. I mean, so what's like McAllister and Curtis Jones? It's not dreadful. It's not. It's obviously. I know we still like. You still need someone, but like it's not. It's not awful. But it's more about having the options and the strength in depth as well. Because one injury or any rotation and the drop off in quality is massive. And I think it's the same for us as well. Because like we're going to go into this game. Poch normally goes 4-2-3-1. Maybe with the Nkunku injury, maybe we switch to a 4-3-3. But we're looking at Enzo Fernandez in there, either being partnered by Andre Santos, who's been fantastic in pre-season, but it's not played a Premier League minute yet, or we're putting Conor Gallagher in there, which, all right, he's had a decent pre-season, but he's not really renowned as a pivot player. So where the game's normally won and lost is in midfield, and both teams are massively short in there. I mean, bro, in terms of Liverpool's pre-season, I've not really tuned into very much of it at all, but seem to be conceding quite a few goals still. Is the defence and the high line a concern for you? Because I think from based on pre-season, which is all we've got to go off, I think this season Liverpool are going to be involved in a lot of games where they just outscore the opposition. There could be a lot of 3-2s, a lot of 4-3s. Do you worry about the high line and being caught out?
I've been worrying about the high line for a long time. And I've even been saying, not even necessarily just to drop the line, but even about 10 yards back will help us massively. Because as what's happening is, obviously, when we're on the offense, in the transition, a lot of our fullbacks are already at the field. And then you've only really got Kanate having to cover his centre-back position and Trent. Because we normally get decimated down the right-hand side. But this preseason in particular, Charlie, is either side. We're kind of getting attacked left, right, and centre. And I honestly believe with this preseason, I will add some context. When we conceded a lot of goals, it was normally the weaker side. You know, normally you make 11 wholesale changes. So your strongest side would start the first half, and then you'll normally make 11 changes for your second half side. A lot of goals against Darmstadt, against Bayern, it was against the side that had less quality. However, even though we didn't concede with our strongest back four, we were still conceding chances. Now, if you take that into the Premier League season against better opposition, yourself, City, Arsenal's, the United, we will get exposed and we will get punished. So the high line definitely does worry me. And this is why a profile like a Lavia, like a Caicedo, like a Adams will nullify that, because we're quite a team that has a lot of possession. Possession has never been a problem for us. We keep a lot of the ball. I think us and City in the last 5-6 years have always been high in the metrics, but the other way we look so susceptible, Charlie. And for me, it's worrying. It's been a worry. And every game, regardless if we won it, lost it, or drew in pre-season, every club was having success against us in behind. They were just running behind, even with our strongest back four. Yes, we may have not conceded, but we'll concede in chances. And against better opposition, you're going to get punished.
I mean, looking ahead to Sunday, obviously it's a big game. Two teams that struggled last season. You guys did a lot better than us, but comparatively to where you've been over the last few years, not as good, missing out on the Champions League, being in the Europa League and all that sort of thing. But how do you see this one? I don't know how much of Chelsea you've seen over the preseason, but what kind of thing? What are you worried about from Chelsea on Sunday, if anything?
The only game I actually watched full night was the Brighton game, and I was very impressed with you against Brighton. And other than that, I've seen that highlights, but they don't normally tell the full story. For me, it is the transition, because I was just saying to you, we look very susceptible in the counter attack, and if a team has a lot of pace like yourself, the Madueke's, the Ian Matson, which I think's been excellent, he had a good loan spell. I think he's probably been one of your best players in preseason.
He has.
But you've got
Mudryk as well.
Mudryk, Madueke, Sterling. I know Sterling hasn't had the best, because my Chelsea friends I've spoke to hasn't had the greatest of preseason, but he can still create something out of nothing. Let's be honest. And I think he might have that bit between his teeth, former club. Do you know what I mean? And Jackson, oh my God, how can I forget the main?
Yeah, he's been the standout.
And all five of them have one thing in common, and that is pace.
Yeah.
And we play that very high line. That is where I'm most worried. I do think we'll have more of the ball, because I do feel you've had a lot of big players leave or start, should I say, in your Kantes, in your Koulibaly's, I think Aubameyang. A lot of players that were starting, Kovacic, Kante, a lot of these players leaving, we still kind of have our core. So I do think we dominate in a possession side of things, but I'm just worried going the other way, because I think if Chelsea get success in this game, it will be off our mistakes and off a lot of counterattacks, because I think you lot are frightening. And some people might say, oh, but where are the goals really coming from? Because you do look at them 5 attackers and it doesn't screen goals. But I've done a bit of research, and Jackson, before his injury at Villarreal, I think it was like 12 and 13. He was on.
He scored a few goals. I mean, look, everyone goes on about getting a number 6, and we need a number 6, like we both do. But you've got the goals. We were signing a number 6 for us in Caicedo is going to make us more balanced as a team, but it's not going to get us 30 more goals. We were 30 goals short last season. We scored 38 goals, so it's basically averaged a goal a game. We're 30 to 40 goals short. Now, I believe that Jackson can get a few, but let's be honest, he's probably not going to get 20 league goals. We're going to need a lot of players to chip in. We're going to need Mudryk to chip in with, say, 10 or so, 8 to 10. Same with Madueke, same with Sterling. Obviously, Nkunku would have been a big source of goals for us, hopefully, but we're not going to see him until January, potentially. So whilst the balance of the side is quite nice, the jury's still out on whether this team is actually going to score any more goals than we did last season. So for me, the defense I'm not too concerned about. I think we've got great quality there, and defensively last season we weren't actually that bad. But I look to this season, midfield, we've got Enzo Fernandez, who I think is a top class player, and considering he come from Benfica in January, dropped into a Chelsea side that was shocking, club an absolute mess, he really stood out. But then we're looking at Andre Santos alongside him potentially, and then we've got the unknown quantity in the forward line. So, I mean, the last 4 games, if we include both cup finals, which were 0-0s, and we had 2 0-0s in the league last season. Surely, if anything, this game's going to have goals, right?
I think I can't see a draw in this game. I think either team win, and I don't even think it will be a close game. I think whoever wins comfortably. That's how I see this game, because like you said, the last 4 games, 4 0-0s, 2 cup finals, but even in the cup finals we won, it wasn't won on goals scored. They both even had to go down to a shootout, and it's like, I just feel this is, especially the way both teams are setting up and how open we are in the back, but how much of the ball we'll have. I can see there being a lot of goals in this game, but I think one side beats the other side quite comfortably. But 2 players I wanted to mention as well, Charlie, who I have been impressed with. This is more from highlights. Is, I think you've loaned him now, but Caicedo, that's gone to
gone to Leicester.
He looks like he has a good future. He looks like a player, and even Angelo Gabriel, I think he's gone on loan. I'm not sure where
he's gone to Strasbourg.
But he looks like a very tricky wide player. So I would say, if I was thinking of your midfield 3, like you said, Poch doesn't normally set up in the 4-3-3 way, but it probably will be the 3 you mentioned: Santos, Enzo, and Gallagher.
Or maybe Chukwuemeka, if he goes in a 3, potentially could be Chukwuemeka as well. Maybe
he's been excellent.
He's been really good, mate.
I actually believe if you do play a 4-2-3-1, he will probably occupy that 10 role.
Yeah, he'll play the 10.
In an ideal world, if you signed a Caicedo, and if Nkunku was fit, me personally, I think Enzo would be pushed up a bit more, because I think you're eventually going to get the best out of Enzo when you kind of put him in that 8 role, maybe even a 10 role. Because if you look at where he played for River Plate before he went to Benfica, he was always kind of just behind the striker, kind of that second striker, and his goal return was quite good. He went to Benfica, they started to play him a bit deeper, but it was still more advanced. Where Chelsea's playing him, but still kind of in that 8 role. I think that's where he flourishes. I rate Enzo highly. I think he's such a player. I have him in my top 5 centre midfielders in the league. Some people say that's a bit premature, but sometimes you can just tell. But I believe once you get that DM, you'll see the best of Enzo. It'll be a bit more advanced.
And that's why it's so important as well, not just for the balance of the side, but to get more out of Enzo as well. I mean, he's just taken the number 8 shirt for this season as well. So hopefully we do see him a little bit further up the pitch. I mean, mate, to round out, what do you think? 2 questions. What are your expectations for Liverpool this season, firstly?
Right. I'm going to be honest. The expectation as a club, we are Liverpool Football Club, one of the 2 biggest institutions in this country. It is to challenge. Every year we're supposed to be challenging, right? But my personal expectation is I just want a top 4 finish and to win the Europa League. And I say that to say this. I don't think we're going to bring in the personnel that's required to challenge. So I'm not going to have this blind optimism. Oh yeah, we're challenging, but 1 minute we don't have the tools to challenge. It's like giving a builder no tools. He can't then do his job. So I don't think we're going to bring in what's required to challenge. So for me, get the Champions League places and win Europa League. Because for me, Europa League is very disrespected in this country.
Oh, it is.
And I believe it's only in this country. And every other European country, they love it. And I think in the last 3-4 years, they've added that extra incentive. If you win it, you're automatically in a Champions League group. I think you're even in pot 1. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you go in high.
Yeah, you're going quite high. So I think we're gonna play weaker sides in the group stage, as we should, give the big boys a rest. But I think the more we progress in that competition, you're gonna start seeing Klopp fielding stronger teams. But I genuinely think we win Europa League. But realistically, I'm looking at 3rd or 4th spot. I don't think we have enough to challenge. I still think it will be Arsenal and City as the 2 front runners. But I understand as a club, the expectation should be to challenge. Like we are Liverpool Football Club, but I don't think we've done enough to challenge. But yeah, that's my expectation for this season.
Yeah, mate, for me, for Chelsea, I think number one expectation, we have to get back into Champions League football. Simple as that. Obviously, we haven't got the Europa League route to go down to potentially get into it. So we have to come in at top 4 or top 5. And for me, there's no excuses to not be winning a domestic cup. And I know people turn their nose up at the League Cup, but the League Cup is the first opportunity to win something. And I think for a new manager, new era, new group of players, if you want to win as quickly as possible. Even if we win the League Cup, I don't care what people think about it. It proves that this group, and it proves to themselves that we can go and win. So whether it's the League Cup or whether it's the FA Cup, we need to be winning one of those this season. It's been too long. 2017, the last time we won domestic silver. I think we've lost our last 6 Wembley finals. We lost 3 FA Cup finals in a row. Like we need to be winning a domestic cup, in my opinion. So for me, a top 4 or 5 in a domestic cup. Yeah.
Can I just add to what you just said? It's so true, because Mourinho and Guardiola, their first trophy in this country was the League Cup, and they both said it's kind of a catalyst to go on and win the Prem, which they both did. I think when Guardiola first won the League Cup in his first season, I believe.
I think it was it first or second season? Well, one of the two, wasn't it? But
second.
Yeah, because
I think it was the same Centurions year. Yeah. When he won in 04-05, Mourinho's first year. Unfortunately, we lost.
Yeah.
We helped
first trophy, and he do you know what? He was the first guy though, mate, that actually put serious importance on it for a big club, because you saw Arsenal United, where those were kind of the big clubs before Jose come to us. Like they would just play their reserves every round; they just wouldn't care.
Yeah. And end of the day, the aim is to win trophies. And I understand maybe it's not seen as important as maybe the FA Cup, the Champions League, and the Prem, but it still gives you, like you alluded to earlier, that winning mentality. That, you know what, as a group, we've actually won something. We can go on and achieve more. So I do understand why people don't take it that seriously. Because I've got a manager that didn't start taking it serious until the last 18 months. But I think, especially for your group, a new group and a young group, I think it will be key to win either of the domestic cups. But I have you lot quite. We were speaking of air. I have you lot quite high. I just think that no European distraction. I think you're kind of just going to be doing your thing silently, and everyone out of the blue, it gets to the latter stage of the season and kind of going to be like, wait, how did Chelsea get here? I think people are sleeping on Chelsea this year. I could be wrong, but I think
but I think a lot of how we do as our clubs is going to depend on what recruitment we do in the midfield between now and the end of the window. I think that's going to have a big bearing on it. But last thing, bro, to round out, score prediction Sunday. You think it's going to be convincing either way? Are you backing your boys?
I have to, just because. Let's say you're saying Caicedo by now, my prediction would be different. But I think we win this 3-1 after back the boys. I just think our attacking prowess will be enough. And yeah, you will concede a lot of chances. I don't think we keep a clean sheet. I do think, I actually will go as far as saying Jackson probably gets his Premier League debut goal at the Bridge. I can see Jackson scoring, but I think we'll have enough with Szoboszlai, with McAllister, Nunes, Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, Salah. I think we might have a bit too much right now. And where you haven't got your set midfield, as we don't, but where we still got that core and we've got a bit more experience in our team and our record at the Bridge as well. People say records don't really mean a lot, but it does kind of filter into the change room. And your team is quite young. But yeah, I think we win this 3-1.
Fair. I'm going to go. I'm going to go for a 2-2. I think there'll be a lot of goals. I don't think we've quite got enough to win it, but I'm going to say we're going to go 2-2. And yeah, let's hope we can get off to at least don't lose. We don't want to start the season with a loss after all the L's last season. But yeah, seems like a good place to round this one out. Romz, thanks so much for your time, bro. The people want to check out more of what you do. Where's the best place for them to catch you?
Yeah. So I don't have my own personal channel, but 3 channels I'm on quite regularly is the Jerry James Show. It's more of a Liverpool orientated channel. Big Six Bants, that's more of a generic panel with a lot of fans, a group of us, 6 of us that are on there. And also Never a Foul. I'm on Never a Foul quite often. So them 3 channels is where you'll catch me.
Yeah, make sure you check those out, people. Guys, we'll be back again with another video soon. Make sure you smash the likes. Make sure you subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so. And make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below on this video, guys. And we'll catch you again in another one soon.